Good morning again, everyone. We were just having a little chat there before I clicked record. So, as I was saying, the step that we're talking about today is getting what it takes, like stepping into that entrepreneurial mindset as opposed to kind of like that employee mentality, which, like I said, I had when I was growing up. And how do we do that? Like, how do we suddenly make that shift into um, not being more in that traditional I've got to get a 9 to 5 because it's safe, because it's stable, because it's what's expected, like we I think we have a lot of conflict internally that somehow being an entrepreneur and starting our own business is scary, but being an employee is not. To me, being an employee is more scary than starting my own business or continuing my own business. But either way, what we need to do to get what it takes is follow successful people and embody the characteristics that they generally have. Now, most successful people, you can find a lot of successful people sharing information and insight very freely on places like YouTube and stuff like that about, or social media. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of them, and Tony Robbins is one of them. There's a lot of successful people freely sharing information about how they got to be successful and giving advice on what it takes to be successful. And I did start to listen to these people, start to think about what I could be doing, how I was doing things. And there were definitely a few very common things that ran through all successful people, which I think are very important to note and take on board if you're going to embark on this journey of growing a business for yourself and you want it to be a successful business. Then you're going to really think about how you approach that and how you make that happen. And for me, it was looking at these people thinking like, what was in common with them. So a lot of them would talk about the characteristics of success and, the kind of mindset that you have to have. But definitely for me, visioning and goals is something that's common with every successful person. They always see it in their mind first before they go out and create it for themselves. So a lot of people think it's all about the business plans and projections, and it's not. It's about having that vision. It's about seeing what that business looks like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's about going into the business knowing exactly what you want from it and being able to create a picture of that in your mind so you can move forward and set very specific goals for yourself, like financial targets, number of clients, where you want to be working from, what kind of hours you want to be working. This is all part of that vision and that goal. So we have that side of things, and that's also for not just for your business, but for yourself personally. Always, I say the business has to fit around the lifestyle. So for me, I always think to myself first, how do I want to live my life? And then I decide then, okay, well, this is the type of business I need, and this is what I need to be doing in that business in order to have that lifestyle. So visions and goals for both personal and business are super important. The next thing I would definitely say, there's kind of 3 primary areas. That's the first one. The second primary area, definitely for me, is learning how to follow instinct and intuition, not second guessing, not doubting, because this really does muddy the water of clarity when it comes to moving forward. And a lot of that is to do with fears, doubts, all of those kind of like negative things that we put in place ourselves that we think are protecting ourselves, being cautious about things we believe it's going to protect us, when in actual fact in business it kind of holds us back. So the second thing is to really learn to work with your intuition and your instinct. I use cards a lot for this, like oracle cards and tarot. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but you can also do it using your inner guidance system, knowing what feels right, what doesn't feel right, trusting that instinct, that gut feeling. If you can really work that muscle, not your gut muscle, but work the muscle of really taking your first intuitive impulse as right and not doubting it or second guessing it, I think you'll find that your business progresses a lot quicker. And also the final thing, or the third part of this step, is really about success habits. So success isn't developed, or these things that you need to do, like envisioning, like accountability, like we're going to do right now, you know, envisioning goals and writing down goals and focusing on goals and thinking about the next task that you have to do to take the next step. You know, this is not something we inherently probably do on a natural level. It's something we have to train ourselves to do. So therefore we need to develop the habit of accountability, which is why I do this morning mindset, and which is why that is so important to me, is because without that habit of accountability, I think several things would fall apart. First of all, sometimes things don't always go as you think they will, or don't always go as planned. And if you don't have this daily accountability process in place, that can sometimes cause you to derail, you know, off of your project, or derail off of your business, because you don't have that constant habit of coming back and focusing on the goal. You know, you might just say to yourself, oh, that didn't work, so I'll give up now. But no, as long as you keep circling back and coming back to that goal, back to that vision, you know, back to considering what task you need to do, back to considering how that's going to look, then you will probably not fall off the wagon, because you're constantly pulling yourself back. And once you create the habit of that, then you will start to see that things shift and move forward, because your belief system is going to start to shift along with it, and many other things. But generally, on the whole, look at the habits of successful people and then try to follow those, especially successful people, or the people that you consider successful. You know, I mean, sometimes I look at, you know, like a stereotype, we'll call it, you know, Donald Trump. You know, he has got millions of pounds. He was president of the United States. Do I think he's successful? Absolutely not. I think he's nutty as a fruitcake, and he's currently in court for all kinds of things he shouldn't have done. He's generally a very horrible like person. I don't think I would want to be friends with him. So am I going to sit there and say, Donald, teach me all you know? No, I'm not. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be Donald Trump, you know. And that's a very important thing to when you're going into the definition of success, that when you're listening to the successful people, they're people that you personally consider successful. I know there's millions of people on the planet that would consider Donald Trump a very successful man. I don't personally consider that success. I think that's very narcissistic and egotistical and things like that. That's not who I would want to be. I want to achieve success through more wholesome, organic means, and therefore I follow people online who I feel are successful in a wholesome, organic way, and I listen to what they do, and I think about, you know, how I can incorporate things into my business and into my routine and into my daily habits that are going to be more in line with them. Martha, I don't think, likes Donald Trump either. Martha said she sacked his client because they were a Trump supporter. They were upset. Oh my God, really? That's intense. I don't think I've ever sacked a client because of their beliefs, but do you want to share about that?
Yeah, yes. No, she was like completely obsessive. She was like, when all the riots started on whatever it was, she was like really supporting it, and she was wanting me to do social posts about it all, and I was like, no, I can't do it. Literally, she was like manically obsessive.
Oh my gosh! But why? It's Donald Trump.
I know, she just preferred him over Biden, and I was just like, no, I could not do it anymore. So I said, look, I can't work with you. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, good for you for standing by that, for standing by what you believe in. Well, that was an interesting addition to today that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, so I guess you get what I mean. And yes, I do completely understand that there are boundaries we have and lines we don't cross and things like that. And I think that success does also need to have those as well. So that is also another, but I feel that entrepreneurs and successful people do have those boundaries and those borders that they won't cross. Martha clearly does. And Martha's a very successful VA, by the way, for anybody who didn't know. She's an extremely successful VA. So all I can say is that when you really start to think about what it's going to take to be that success that you want to be, you really need to then take that seriously and start to say to yourself, am I doing these things? Am I actually doing what it takes? You know, on a personal level, on an intuitive level, on a level of character, you know, like for example, again, I'll just very quickly say this, you know, if you want to be super successful and you want people to listen to you and go to your consulting sessions and come away feeling super, you know, pumped and, you know, feeling in full trust of what you just said to them, you have to be delivering that confidently. You know, if you're a little wallflower and you're not confident, you're always doubting yourself, then it's probably going to mirror and reflect on the client that you're talking to, and they're also going to feel this person's not confident, I don't know if I can trust their advice, even though inside you know it's good. If you don't feel it, you know, you've got to get that feeling of everything, and that is what it really is all about. Martha said she's got really strict guidelines and learned the hard way through a bad burnout. Yes, sadly, that's how a lot of us learn. We know, you know, the theory, and we know we shouldn't do things, and we know that, but until we actually take ourselves down that path where it gets so bad, we're not often that disciplined with ourselves, but we do come out on the other end knowing that that's never going to happen again. Definitely happened to me with a client several years ago, a massive client, and I did also have to let that one go. So yeah, interesting stuff. So thank you so much for being here today. We're going to step into our accountability again, which is a non-negotiable process, and I think today's session kind of outlined that. And I shall see you back here tomorrow, where we will start going through another step. In the meantime, have a fantastic day ahead, and let's start accountability.
Before we begin, don't forget you can join me live online inside Virtual Co-working Space at www.virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. If you enjoy this session, give it a like. I'd love to hear from you, so write me a comment. And so you don't miss any updates, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. So now we're going to look for the positive with our gratitude. First, we'll spend 1 minute thinking of the day before, thinking of all the things that happened, reflecting on work, interactions, relationships, memorable moments, and more. Now you'll write one thing down minimum that you're grateful for. You can, of course, write down more. Something good, something that went right, a small moment or a big win. The more you search for things to be grateful for, the more you will experience things to be grateful for. Now we're going to read out your goal. Make sure your goal is written down in a journal or somewhere you can easily access it. Read your goal now, ideally out loud, and commit to this goal. Believe it will happen. And by reading this daily, the universe knows clearly what your goal is, and the things begin to shift in the direction of your goal. Follow your instincts when this happens by taking action. Now you need to see your goal in visualization. Spend this minute thinking about the goal in your mind. See yourself taking steps towards the goal, or even better still, see yourself having already achieved the goal. Close your eyes and go there. Step into the feeling, step into the place, step into the accomplishment. And finally, it's time for your most important task. Set this task for today and make it relating to your goal. This could be something small like sending an email, recording a video, or making a phone call, or it could be bigger. Either way, one task a day is one step forward, and those steps will add up. Do what you can from where you are now. Set the intention, and the action will carry you towards your goal. Well done you for completing your daily co-create session. Have a fantastic day ahead, and I'll see you next time.